Have you ever stood in front of your microwave, reheated last night's dinner, and believed you were making the safest and smartest choice? Millions of people do exactly that every day without a second thought. But what if one of the most common habits in your kitchen is quietly changing the chemistry of your food in ways that science has been warning us about for years? The truth is not meant to create fear, but it should make every one of us think more carefully about what happens after food is cooked the first time. By the end of this video, you may never look at leftovers the same way again. Every day, more than 2 billion people reheat leftover meals. Most assume that once food becomes hot enough, it is completely safe to eat. Unfortunately, that belief is not always correct. There is one number that deserves your attention: 1 in 6. Researchers now estimate that around 1 out of every 6 cancer cases worldwide is linked to dietary factors, including how food is prepared, stored, and reheated. According to findings published in the journal CA, a cancer journal for clinicians, unhealthy eating habits are the second biggest preventable cause of cancer after tobacco use. Even so, very few people understand what actually happens inside certain foods when they are heated for a second time, whether in a microwave or on a stovetop. These changes are completely invisible. You cannot see them forming. You cannot smell them. Yet complex chemical reactions are taking place inside the food before those same compounds enter your body. I am Dr. William, and for more than 15 years, I have focused on nutritional biochemistry and the connection between food science and cancer prevention. Today, I will walk you through 4 foods that many people reheat without hesitation. Chances are, at least one of them is sitting in your refrigerator right now. Scientific research has confirmed that these foods can undergo important chemical changes after reheating, and some of those changes have been linked to an increased cancer risk. Stay with me until the end, because the 4th food surprises almost everyone. It is widely considered healthy, yet the evidence tells a very different story. Before we continue, it is important to understand what this discussion is really about. We are not talking about temporary stomach discomfort or ordinary food poisoning. We are talking about gradual exposure to harmful compounds that can build up inside the body over months and even years. Cancer rarely appears overnight. It usually develops slowly through continuous damage at the cellular level. Free radicals, advanced glycation end products, nitrosamines, and byproducts created through fat oxidation do not come only from pollution or cigarette smoke. Many can also develop in food prepared inside our own kitchens. The World Health Organization has classified several compounds that may form during the reheating of certain foods as either Group 1 or Group 2A carcinogens. Group 1 means there is convincing evidence they cause cancer in humans. Group 2A means they are considered probably carcinogenic. These are not theories or internet myths. They are chemical reactions that scientists have documented in laboratories and studied for years. Even more concerning is that the people most at risk are often those who believe they are eating healthy meals, including lean meats, vegetables, rice, and eggs. These 4 everyday foods are exactly what we will begin exploring next. To understand why these everyday foods deserve closer attention, you first need to understand what happens to food after it has already been cooked once. This short explanation is the foundation for everything that follows, and without it, the risks behind reheating can easily seem exaggerated. In reality, the science is straightforward. During the first cooking process, heat causes normal and expected changes. Proteins unfold, starches soften, and fats melt into forms that are easier for the body to digest. These reactions are part of ordinary cooking and are generally harmless. The problem begins after that cooked food is stored for hours or even days and then exposed to heat all over again. Once food sits in the refrigerator, oxygen slowly reacts with its fats and proteins. This process is called oxidation. Although it happens quietly, it weakens the structure of these nutrients. When the same food is reheated, those damaged molecules break down even further, creating substances such as lipid peroxides and malondialdehyde. Researchers have shown that these compounds can damage DNA and increase stress inside human cells. The danger is not something you can detect with your senses because the food may still smell fresh and taste perfectly normal while these invisible chemical reactions continue. Another important process involves something known as the Maillard reaction. During the first cooking, this reaction gives food its rich flavor, pleasant aroma, and golden brown color. It is one of the reasons roasted and grilled foods taste so good. However, When foods containing proteins and natural sugars are repeatedly heated, the reaction continues beyond its useful stage. Instead of improving flavor, it begins producing advanced glycation end products, commonly called AGs. Scientists have linked high levels of these compounds to chronic inflammation, and persistent inflammation is recognized as one of the major conditions that encourages cancer to develop over time. There is a third mechanism that deserves just as much attention. Certain vegetables naturally contain large amounts of nitrates. While those vegetables are stored after cooking, naturally occurring bacteria gradually convert the nitrates into nitrites. Once reheated, those nitrites can react further and form compounds known as nitrosamines. Health organizations around the world classify many nitrosamines as confirmed or probable carcinogens because extensive research has connected them with several forms of cancer. These three biological processes, oxidation, advanced glycation, and nitrosamine formation, appear repeatedly in the foods we are about to discuss. Remember them because they explain why reheating affects different foods in different ways. The first food on our list is one that billions of people eat every single day: cooked rice. Across countless cultures, rice is a staple food that often ends up as leftovers waiting in the refrigerator. Reheating it has become such a normal habit that very few people question whether it is safe. Surprisingly, the greatest concern does not actually begin when the rice is reheated. It begins much earlier, during the time between the first meal and the second, while the cooked rice is sitting in storage. That quiet waiting period creates the conditions for changes that most families never realize are taking place, and those changes make rice one of the most misunderstood leftovers in the modern kitchen. As cooked rice cools, it becomes an ideal environment for a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This microorganism is not unusual or rare. It naturally exists in raw rice, and even proper cooking does not always destroy its spores. If cooked rice is left sitting too long before refrigeration or stored for an extended period, those spores can become active and multiply. Many people believe reheating solves the problem, but the truth is more complicated. While high heat may kill the bacteria themselves, it cannot eliminate the heat-resistant toxins they may have already produced. Those toxins survive the microwave, survive the stovetop, and can still enter your digestive system. Although food poisoning caused by Bacillus cereus is well known, researchers have also raised concerns about another possible danger. The bacteria produce a toxin called cereulide, and laboratory studies suggest this toxin can interfere with the normal function of mitochondria, the tiny structures inside cells that generate energy. Healthy mitochondria are essential for normal cell activity, and scientists recognize mitochondrial damage as one of the early biological events that may contribute to abnormal cell development. While this does not mean reheated rice directly causes cancer, it highlights why proper handling and storage are far more important than most people realize. Rice presents another issue that often receives far less attention. Repeated heating of starchy foods can increase the formation of acrylamide. This chemical develops when natural sugars react with the amino acid asparagine under high temperatures. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a Group 2A carcinogen, meaning it is considered probably carcinogenic to humans. The safest approach is simple. Whenever possible, prepare only the amount of rice you plan to eat. If leftovers are unavoidable, cool the rice quickly after cooking, refrigerate it within 1 hour, consume it within 24 hours, and never reheat the same portion more than once. The second food is one that almost every health expert recommends: cooked chicken. It is the foundation of countless healthy meal plans because it provides high-quality protein with relatively little fat. Athletes, families, and people trying to lose weight often prepare large batches of chicken to eat throughout the week. Unfortunately, repeated reheating changes more than just its temperature. It also changes its chemistry. When chicken is exposed to high heat for a second time, the proteins inside the meat undergo additional oxidation. During this process, compounds called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, can form in greater amounts. These chemicals have been studied extensively for decades and are among the best-known dietary carcinogens in nutrition science. Once inside the body, liver enzymes convert HCAs into highly reactive substances capable of attaching directly to DNA. That interaction can create genetic mutations, especially in genes responsible for preventing uncontrolled cell growth. Damage to these protective genes is considered one of the earliest steps in the development of many cancers. Large scientific studies have reported that people who regularly consume heavily cooked or repeatedly reheated poultry may face a higher risk of colorectal cancer. Other research has also found an association between frequent consumption of reheated processed chicken and an increased risk of pancreatic cancer, one of the most aggressive forms of the disease. But the next two foods on this list may be even more surprising because they are widely viewed as symbols of healthy eating, yet the science behind reheating them tells a very different story. The third food on our list is one that almost every nutrition expert encourages people to eat more often: spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy vegetables. Spinach is packed with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, iron, magnesium, and folate, making it one of the healthiest foods you can include in your diet. Doctors frequently recommend it because it supports heart health, strengthens the immune system, and provides valuable nutrients that many people fail to consume in sufficient amounts. When eaten fresh or immediately after cooking, spinach offers tremendous health benefits. The concern begins only after it has been cooked, stored, and reheated. Spinach, along with vegetables such as celery, beets, Swiss chard, and lettuce, naturally contains high levels of nitrates. In their original form, these nitrates are not harmful. In fact, they help improve blood flow and contribute to healthy blood pressure. However, once cooked spinach sits in the refrigerator, naturally occurring bacteria slowly begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. This chemical change happens during storage without affecting the appearance or flavor of the food, making it almost impossible to notice. When refrigerated spinach is reheated, those nitrites can react with amino acids both within the vegetable and later inside the digestive system. This reaction may produce compounds called nitrosamines. Scientists have spent decades studying nitrosamines because many of them are recognized as powerful carcinogens. Laboratory research has demonstrated that some nitrosamines can trigger cancer development even at relatively low levels of exposure, while population studies continue to associate long-term exposure with higher rates of stomach, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. These concerns are not based on speculation. Organizations such as the European Food Safety Authority have issued guidance discussing dietary exposure to nitrates and nitrites, including the importance of proper storage and reheating practices for nitrate-rich vegetables. The irony is difficult to ignore. One of the healthiest vegetables available can undergo chemical changes that reduce its safety when handled improperly after cooking. Fortunately, the solution is simple. Whenever possible, prepare spinach fresh and enjoy it immediately. If leftovers remain, eat them cold within a few hours rather than reheating them. If storage is necessary, keep the vegetables in an airtight container, consume them quickly, and avoid exposing them to high heat a second time. Now we arrive at the fourth and perhaps most unexpected food on this list: eggs. Few foods match eggs when it comes to nutritional value. They provide all 9 essential amino acids, supply generous amounts of choline for brain function, contain selenium to support the body's antioxidant defenses, and offer lutein and zeaxanthin, nutrients that help protect eye health. Nutrition professionals consistently recommend eggs because they deliver an impressive range of essential nutrients in a relatively inexpensive package. Yet very few people realize that reheating cooked eggs can create chemical changes that deserve attention. Egg yolks naturally contain both fat and cholesterol. During the initial cooking process, a small amount of oxidation occurs, and this is considered a normal part of heating food. The problem arises when cooked eggs are refrigerated and then reheated at high temperatures. Those already oxidized fats continue breaking down, producing additional compounds such as malondialdehyde and oxidized cholesterol derivatives known as oxysterols. Researchers have increasingly focused on these substances because studies suggest they may promote inflammation, damage cells, and interfere with the normal function of DNA, making the final piece of this scientific puzzle even more important to understand. Research over the past several years has shown that oxystorols deserve serious attention because they are not simply altered forms of cholesterol. Scientific reviews suggest these compounds may contribute to inflammation, cellular injury, and genetic damage, all of which are biological processes linked to the development of chronic disease, including certain cancers. Another concern involves the proteins found in eggs. When scrambled eggs, omelets, or similar dishes are reheated at high temperatures, especially in a microwave, the proteins can become even more denatured. This creates stronger cross-links that make digestion more difficult. At the same time, sulfur-containing amino acids naturally present in eggs may break down into byproducts capable of increasing oxidative stress within the lining of the digestive tract. Persistent oxidative stress has long been recognized as one of the factors that may contribute to the development of colorectal cancer. For that reason, eggs are best enjoyed immediately after cooking. If you prepare hard-boiled eggs in advance, store them in their shells and eat them cold. If warming an egg-based meal is absolutely necessary, use gentle heat instead of exposing it to intense temperatures. When I first examined the scientific literature surrounding reheated foods, my reaction was not fear. It was frustration. The information has existed in respected peer-reviewed journals for years. Guidance from organizations such as the World Health Organization and the European Food Safety Authority is publicly available. Yet very little of this knowledge reaches ordinary families in a practical and understandable way. Every day, millions of people reheat leftovers because it is convenient, affordable, and part of a busy lifestyle. Parents pack reheated meals into lunchboxes. Older adults warm yesterday's dinner because cooking every day is difficult. Fitness enthusiasts prepare large batches of chicken, rice, spinach, and eggs, believing they are making the healthiest possible choices. None of these people are intentionally making poor decisions. They simply have never been given the complete picture. That is exactly why understanding food chemistry matters. This is not about avoiding nutritious foods. Rice, chicken, spinach, and eggs remain valuable parts of a balanced diet. The goal is simply to handle them more carefully after they have been cooked. Across these four foods, the same biological themes appear repeatedly: oxidation damages, fats, and proteins. Nitrosamines may form after nitrate-rich vegetables are stored and reheated. Certain bacterial toxins survive reheating, while repeated exposure to high temperatures encourages the production of compounds that researchers continue to investigate for their potential health effects. These are measurable chemical reactions supported by scientific evidence, not myths designed to frighten people. Fortunately, reducing these risks does not require expensive products or dramatic lifestyle changes. Cook only the amount of food you expect to eat whenever possible. Cool leftovers quickly, refrigerate them without delay, avoid storing them longer than necessary, and never reheat the same meal multiple times. Use gentle heat instead of extremely high temperatures whenever reheating cannot be avoided, and consider eating certain leftovers, especially eggs and leafy greens, cold instead. Small habits repeated consistently often have a greater impact on long-term health than dramatic changes made only once. If this video helped you see your everyday meals from a completely new perspective, don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with your family, friends, and anyone who regularly reheats leftovers. Leave a comment below telling us which of these four foods surprised you the most and what topic you'd like us to investigate next. If you enjoyed this evidence-based approach to health and nutrition, subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos. The more informed we become together, the better decisions we can make for ourselves and the people we care about.